Hello Year 10 students. This video is going to look at ethics and different ethical systems. Ethics are the moral principles that guide our behavior and thinking. But it's not a perfect science. In fact, there's lots of debate in philosophy and our wider world as to what is the best ethical system. Here are the three main ones. Remember though, it's not a perfect one-fits-all system. It's up to an individual to make his or her own decision using their conscience and what they feel to be right. I'd like to introduce you to my friend Dan. He's a deontologist, and he says, I consider certain actions to be intrinsically right or wrong, irrespective of their consequences. A problem should be looked at in terms of a person's intention and the duties and rights of people. My next friend is Connor, the consequentialist. He thinks that the rightness or wrongness of an action can be assessed purely by looking at how effective the action is in bringing about certain desirable results. The ends or consequence that brings about the most happiness for the most number of people is the most ethical. And lastly, my good friend Sam, the situationalist. He thinks that because no two situations are ever the same, he likes to be flexible when making an ethical decision. He always looks at the circumstances in a given situation and then makes his decision based on that information.
Hold up. What would you do? Get up on my feet and let go of every excuse. What would you do? 'Cause I wouldn't want my baby to go through what I went through. Come on, what would you do? Get up on my feet and stop making tired excuses. What would you do?
A runaway train is heading towards 5 workers on a railway line. There's no way of warning them, but you're standing near a lever that operates some points. Switch the points, and the train goes down a spur. Trouble is, there's another worker on that bit of track too, but it's 1 fatality instead of 5. Should you do that? Many people think the right thing to do would be to switch the points, to sacrifice 1 to save 5, since that produces the best outcome possible. Now imagine the train heading for the workers again. This time it can only be stopped by pushing a very large man off a bridge. His great bulk would stop the train, but he'd die. Should you do that? Most people say no. But why not? Both thought experiments are cases of sacrificing 1 to save 5. What the trolley problem examines is whether moral decisions are simply about outcomes or about the manner in which you achieve them. Some utilitarians argue that the two cases are not importantly different from each other. Both have similar consequences, and consequences are all that really matter. In each case, 1 person dies and 5 are saved, the best option in each harrowing situation. But lots of people say they would switch the points, but they wouldn't push the man off the bridge. Are they simply inconsistent, or are they onto something?
So if we go back to the trolley example, there's a runaway trolley barreling down the railway tracks. Ahead on the tracks, there are 5 people tied up and unable to move. The trolley is heading straight for them. These 3 guys are standing some distance off in the train yard next to the lever. If they pull the lever, the trolley will switch to a different set of tracks. However, they notice that there is 1 person on the side track, and so they have 2 options. 1, do nothing and the trolley kills the 5 people on the main track. Or 2, pull the lever, diverting the trolley onto the side track where it will kill 1 person. What is the correct choice? Let's start off with Dan. Dan thinks, I'm not going to do anything because my ethics as a deontologist tell me that killing is always wrong, so I can't possibly be held responsible for murdering either 1 or 5 people. I'm not going to do it. It's just going to have to be that way. Second up is Connor. He's standing there at the lever and he's saying, I'm going to pull that lever as a consequentialist because the consequences of 1 person dying is better than 5 people dying. And the last guy to step up is Sam the situationalist. He says, depending on the situation, I don't know that 1 person, that could be my family, could be a child, and those other 5 people, they could be really important to me. Or they might be really old people or prisoners or really evil people, in which case it's probably not as bad if those 5 people die than the 1 good person. So I really have to look at the facts before I pull the lever. If we apply these different ethical systems to an advertisement, imagine that Dan, Connor and Sam are chilling in the subway and they see this ad. What are they going to think? If we applied deontological ethics and talked to Dan, he would say that the objectification of women is always wrong, therefore the ad is unethical. Great harm is caused to men, women and children who are exposed to this kind of rubbish. It should never be allowed, ever. If we asked Connor what he thought of the ad, he would look at the consequences of it. Like, who is going to be harmed? Maybe young women with body image issues. But the majority of people will either not be bothered or in fact might even like the ad. After all, the consequences of a beach body are healthy, right? It's a win-win. You look great and people think you look attractive. So he'd be all for the ad. Sam, the situationalist, would question the situation of the ad. What type of company is promoting this unrealistic body image? Protein World is selling a powder that is not going to magically make you look like the woman in the image. Therefore, in this situation, the ad is unethical. What do you think?